This didn't make any sense to her. How did a melody that she had locked down over the summer, last summer, suddenly appear on Jennifer Lopez's album? This was something that really bothered her.
I've been doing this, my whole life. Singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent that I'm grateful for. Her thing is something different.
Baby, you've probably heard folks whispering about how Beyonce and J.Lo have been known to edge people out of the industry. But what if I told you they didn't just push anyone out? What if they snatched the whole throne that was meant to be Mariah Carey's? Not by chance, not by accident, but straight up strategic moves to shove her aside and slide right into the spotlight she built. Allegedly, this isn't just fan gossip. This drama comes with claims from Mariah herself. Buckle up, because this story is about to get wild. Let's talk facts.
You heard Beyonce Drunk in Love?
I don't know. I love Beyonce, but I have not.
Mariah just flew in from her own planet, I'm telling you. This is Mariah's.
From my own planet?
Yes.
I did.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't.
In the 90s, Mariah wasn't just famous. She was running the game. She was writing her own hits, producing her own records, and calling all the shots on her image. Total boss moves, especially in a business that tried hard to keep women, especially women of color, in the background. She wasn't just glamorous, she was untouchable. Mixed race, mysterious, and genre hopping like it was nothing. Pop, R&B, hip hop, she had her nails in it all. Mariah was the blueprint, period. Now here's where it gets real juicy. Back in the day, Beyonce used to gush over Mariah like she was the entire universe wrapped in a falsetto. "She's the reason I started singing," Beyonce once said. Not Whitney, not Aretha, Mariah. She even said that Mariah's song Vision of Love lit the fire inside her. Imagine that, a young Beyonce idolizing Mariah, studying her vocals, her moves, her presence. That's how deep the influence ran.
Mariah Carey's voice comes from God. You can hear the gospel in her voice. Very nice to see her in the church. The whole message in the video was just Vision of Love. Was one of the first songs I heard when I was a kid, where I heard all of these riffs. And I was like, how does she do that? In this little short amount of times, the amount of notes she could squeeze in that one little bar, 2 bars, was fascinating to me. And that's kind of when I started trying it. And it's something that I love to do in my music, but she completely inspired me.
And that makes what came next even more suspicious. Beyonce used to call Mariah one of her biggest inspirations, no cap. If you dig through old footage and interviews, you'll see young Bey practically starstruck, straight up fangirling over Mariah's insane vocal range and larger-than-life presence. But then something shifted, that admiration. Gone. No more shout-outs, no more praise, just silence. And now, people are starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, Beyonce began feeling like she had surpassed Mariah. Let's break it down. Mariah's legacy is undeniably iconic. But does she get the same level of respect as legends like Michael Jackson or Prince? Not really. The industry crowned her the vocal queen, no doubt. But the media often boxed her in as the sparkly diva who slides into December wearing stilettos and a Santa suit. That image stuck. Now contrast that with Beyonce, who's out here building a legacy that's meant to echo MJ or Prince. She wants to be seen as a cultural force, someone who redefined music, visuals, and performance. And to fit that mold, Mariah's glittery diva brand might not align with the story Bey's trying to tell. And here's where things get messy. For Beyonce to soar the way she did, some insiders claim it wasn't just about talent or hard work. Allegedly, she and her husband used their industry power to shift the tides, not directly taking Mariah's spot, but pulling strings behind the scenes. Quiet moves, big impact. Could Beyonce have risen by rerouting Mariah's path with the help of powerful connections? That's what some folks are whispering, and the timeline's making a lot of people raise eyebrows. That's how the industry rolls. If you're willing to play the game, kiss the right hands, and stroke the right egos, you get the golden ticket, even if someone way more talented gets left in the dust. And guess who paid the price? Mariah Carey. Now let's talk about the other name in this drama, Jennifer Lopez. Yep, while Beyonce was rising, J.Lo was sliding into the spotlight too. No shade, J.Lo's stunning, can dance like no one's business, and got a killer work ethic. But let's keep it real. Vocally, she's not in Mariah's league, not even close. Still, J.Lo got crowned a global icon. Movies, fashion lines, perfume deals, the Super Bowl halftime show, the works. Meanwhile, Mariah suddenly getting pushed to the sidelines like yesterday's news. We can't directly tie Beyonce to whatever went down between Mariah and J.Lo, but the timing, way too suspicious. Now here's where it gets straight up shady. When Mariah was going through drama with her ex-husband, music exec Tommy Mottola, she was deep in the middle of filming Glitter. She had secured a rare sample from Yellow Magic Orchestra's 1978 song Firecracker for her track Lover Boy. It was all set to go. But out of nowhere, boom, that same exact sample shows up on J.Lo's album. Mariah was just as stunned as everyone else. She had locked that track in. And it magically ends up with someone who had never even been known for her voice? Sure, J.Lo had some clout from In Living Color, but breaking into music was a struggle. She didn't have the vocals, and Broadway, that wasn't happening either. Folks said she couldn't sing or act well enough to hold her own, so how did she land that sample? Connections, baby. And maybe even some backdoor deals. Then came Tommy Mottola, Mariah's ex-husband and the powerful Sony exec who wasn't about to let her walk away without a fight. Their marriage was crashing and burning, and Mariah was trying to bounce. Not just from Tommy, but from her contract with Sony too. But Tommy, he wasn't having it. To get back at her, he pulled one of the dirtiest moves in the book. Mariah had already recorded Loverboy using that Firecracker sample, but Tommy gave that exact sample to J.Lo, slapped together a new version, and fast-tracked J.Lo's track instead. Meanwhile, Mariah's version got shelved like it never existed, and let's be real. J.Lo knew what was up and rolled with it like a pro. Mariah wasn't blind to any of it either. In her memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, she laid it all out. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the industry power plays. She wrote that a lot of what ruined Glitter traced right back to Tommy. He was bitter over the divorce and furious she left Sony, and he pulled every string he had to make sure she paid for it. She even said, "There was no way he would allow me to have a huge success after leaving him and Sony." And when he heard her new song, he rushed to give the same sample to another female entertainer on that label, who she conveniently doesn't name. But come on, we all know who that was. And speaking of people she doesn't know, remember that legendary moment? Mariah was asked to share her thoughts on other female artists. She gave Beyonce her flowers, calling her a good writer and a nice person. But when they brought up Jennifer Lopez, all Mariah said was, "I don't know her." Iconic. That clip lives rent-free in everyone's head for a reason. It was cold, classy, and unforgettable. Back in 2002, Mariah Carey sat down with Larry King, and when he asked if there was any beef between her and Jennifer Lopez, Mariah didn't hold back. She hit him with, "There's no competition if the other person can't sing." Oof.
There are rivalries, but I don't think she has anything to do with me. I mean, my whole thing is singing, writing
She's
songs.
an actress.
Yeah, and I've been doing this, my whole life. Singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent that I'm grateful for. Her thing is something different.
That line stung, and it's still circling the internet today like a slap in glitter. But she didn't stop there. Mariah had been throwing classy shade for years about the rumors that J.Lo doesn't actually sing her own songs, and the receipts are wild. In a Talk magazine interview, Mariah mentioned she barely got 3 hours of sleep a night. When told J.Lo claimed to get 8 hours of beauty rest, Mariah clapped back hard. "If I had the luxury of not having to sing my own songs, darling, I'd do that too, honey." Woo! And listen, it's not like Mariah was just making stuff up to be petty. The whole J.Lo can't sing thing has been floating around the industry for years. Let's go back to 2001 when J.Lo dropped I'm Real. The track was lifted from her second studio album, J.L.O. But here's the twist. Ashanti came out saying that song was originally meant for her. She said she had recorded and mixed the track only for it to be handed off to J.Lo, allegedly because J.Lo couldn't hit the notes. And get this, you can still hear Ashanti's vocals in the background of J.Lo's version. They didn't even scrub them out. But here's the kicker. I'm Real was supposedly initially intended for Mariah before it got rerouted to Ashanti and then ended up with J.Lo. This song was bouncing around like a hot potato, and somehow J.Lo got the final cut with everyone else's vocals still on it. So yeah, all that shade Mariah was throwing might have been a whole lot more factual than people realized. Irv Gotti straight up admitted that Tommy Mottola told him to give I'm Real to J.Lo just to spite Mariah. Yeah, this wasn't random. It was a calculated move. They knew Ashanti wouldn't be down to backstab Mariah, so instead, they used J.Lo to carry it out. Cold-blooded. But wait, that's not all. I'm Real wasn't the only track Ashanti had her hands on. Did you know she also wrote the lyrics, sang the chorus, and threw in ad-libs for Ain't It Funny? That's right, Ashanti basically built that song from scratch, and all J.Lo had to do was stroll into the studio and lay down a few vocals.
How did that J.Lo record actually happen? You wrote the song for yourself, or you wrote it for J.Lo?
No, I wrote it for J.Lo.
The bare minimum, while someone else did the heavy lifting. And the drama doesn't stop there. J.Lo nearly swiped What's Love too. The only reason it didn't happen, Joe spilled the tea himself. He said Irv Gotti and Ja Rule called him at 3 in the morning, hyped up about the track they just made. When he got to the studio, they played What's Love and hit him with, "Yo, this is for you and J.Lo. We want that Latino fire on this one." The wildest part, J.Lo already knew the song was given to Ashanti, but she was still cool with taking it anyway. No hesitation, just vibes and vocals someone else had already laced. Ashanti kept quiet for years, but when she finally spoke up in an interview with Metro UK, she didn't hold back. She said it loud. You should always care about credit for what you do, no matter what industry you're in. She called out how fake and smoke and mirrors the music world can be, and how frustrating it is when your work gets handed off to someone else with no recognition. It took more than 2 decades for her to get her flowers, but now that the truth's out, people are finally waking up to how shady things really were behind the scenes. So yeah, a lot of people already knew something shady was going on, but hearing Ashanti confirm it, that hit different. In her interview, she got real about the emotions she felt while watching someone like J.Lo use her vocals and get all the credit. She said, "It's weird, because of course you're frustrated when you don't get labeled properly or credited, but then it turns into something people admire you for." And that's just Ashanti. There's a whole list of artists, especially black artists, who've allegedly had their work swiped or buried, while others soaked up the spotlight. And J.Lo, not the only one with fingers pointed at her. Beyonce's name pops up in these conversations too. But here's the real tea. Word is, Mariah Carey might finally be ready to talk. Like, actually pull back the curtain and expose what really happened behind the scenes. The sabotage, the stolen vocals, the shady industry moves, and yes, even Beyonce and J.Lo's alleged roles in it all. Sources close to the diva say she's been quietly working on something. Maybe a second memoir, maybe a tell-all documentary, or maybe just waiting for the right moment to set the record straight. If she does, it's gonna shake the whole game. So many questions still need answers. Was J.Lo fully aware she was being used to derail glitter? Did Beyonce back away from Mariah once it didn't fit her image? Or did the industry just decide Mariah was too much, too raw, too emotional, too outspoken, and shift its loyalty somewhere safer? Whatever the truth is, you know it's gonna be messy once it drops. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. Catch you in the next one!